Hello, and welcome back to the American Arson podcast.
Just like
All right.
Ralph is along for the ride. I mean, normally we ask the questions, but I'm looking at Nathan's setup here, and it looks like you are in a professional podcasting studio. So if you just want to take it away and interview the rest
Welcome,
of the
everybody.
three of us. It's pretty rad. I like it. It's
Thank you.
A nice setup.
It's finally kind of come to fruition of it's just been a long process because I stream on Twitch. It's been a minute since I've done it, but that's kind of
I was about to say
it.
it looks like a nice Twitch setup. So
yeah.
Awesome. So
Right.
you guys have been making some posts recently about the process of creating the upcoming album, and I'm kind of excited that you did that because A, now we know, but B, I think the new thing is to be like really secretive for a really, really long time and nobody knows about it, in which case we would have so much less that we could talk about. So, where are you guys at in the process and how's it going so far? And I think, a lot of people are wanting to know if there's any sort of timeline for this thing.
Yeah, we are very close, like by weeks of actually hitting the studio.
Awesome.
For drums to start out, we're gonna have to do it a little different than we've done it in the past. When we did Blurred Visions, we were in the studio for like a whole month. And it was awesome. It was like super cool experience to just be like fully, immersed in creativity. But this time, I know we talked like Jesse, you got married this year. So like stuff like that happens too with like big life stuff. So just in general, the writing process has looked different. I think in some ways, it's caused us to be more prepared going into the studio this time around. So we are, in terms of writing, a lot further along at this point than we were when we did Blurred Visions. But yeah, the songs are, we're gonna have 10, maybe more, but probably 10 songs that are at this point, like we've already had a round of pre-production on half of them. And then we'll do the next half soon. And then let's do some drums. So we were hoping to have the record out this year. And I think I won't throw anyone under the bus, but I think multiple members of this band prematurely announced that. I don't see any world where that happens. So unfortunately, like if anybody heard that it was coming out this year, it's probably not now. So it'll probably be next year because we just want it to be done right and not rushed.
Dude, I don't think there's a single album or EP that we've put out in our existence as a musical group that has actually come out when we first said it would.
Right.
You always get into the studio. I feel like we're like, even before we officially announce it, even just amongst like us and like the Face Down crew and stuff like that, we're like, we'll have this thing out by spring. Yeah, for sure. And then it's like summer rolls around and we're like, give us a couple more weeks in the studio. We'll get it right. Like,
We don't even get it out by spring the next year.
Right. Right. Yeah.
What does pre-production look like for you guys? Do you demo everything out? Do you get in a room together and just do like a live version of it? I know it's really different for every band.
Yeah, no, pre-production for us has looked different from record to record. This one, I think, I say we did our first round of pre-production, but really, I mean, Nathan, we've been doing rounds of pre-production on our own.
Yeah.
I just counted this most recent pass as like the first official because we actually had our producer in the room with us.
Okay.
So we kind of all rehearsed individually 5 songs that we knew are like our strongest. Again, we've already put a lot of time into them. So he came in with notes, but he didn't have a ton because we'd already like really, really like focused on how can we make each part better. And so we've done a lot of us now have the ability to do demos in our house, and so that's kind of been the way we've done this record, just tracking our own demos, and then we got our hands on an electric drum kit. So JJ refers to them as the Wii Rock Band kit.
Hey, that's my
I got
drum
Jesse
kit.
sitting in our
Yeah,
space
there you
back
go.
here right now.
Yeah, it's just helped us,
Yeah.
get ideas down, and it's not what's going to be on the record, but it's like, here's like
Yeah.
the feel. Let's hear if that sounds right. So we've done our own pre-production, but then like we just had, and I feel like we could probably say like we're working with Stephen Keach from Haste the Day. So he came in,
Nice.
yeah, he did a round of pre-production with us, and that's what's coming up. So hopefully next year, no, definitely next year, but like hopefully we can do it right. We've always been kind of the opposite of you guys, where like we probably put it out quicker than we needed to. And so like, well, for example, like Blurred Visions, I'm pretty sure it came out and then a music video came out like months later. When for this one, it's like I want it to be like the rollout needs to be like perfect, and that's
Everything's done already. Video's done.
yeah.
There's Funko Pop of each of you guys ready to go in
That's right.
comic book shops.
Yeah.
Jesse has them on his shelf already because
They're
got
on
like
my
the pre-release
boxes back
version.
here.
Huh? What? Yeah.
There's
And I
one
think,
Nathan, one of Ernie.
Yeah. I think too, it's like it obviously it's been a little tempting at times to get sort of discouraged of like, man, like it'd be cool, to push the process up faster. But ultimately too, I think us as a band, like we know even as like listeners of other bands and other artists, like we'd rather the band put in more time and having to kind of push the release date back further so that it produces a better product that's more excellent, rather than almost like oven versus microwave, where it's like, all right, we could have something really soon, but the quality may not last, and it may not be as good as it could have been. So it's like we kind of had to remind ourselves through the process of this album of like, all right, it's taking a little bit longer than we thought, but like we're really stoked on it and really thinking that it's just the timing is going to be what it should be.
Yeah, and ultimately you don't want to look back like and like not be like these songs are going to be sick either way. Like you guys wrote a good batch of songs, but like I mean, there's always that kind of give and take of like from artists. Are you writing the music for yourself, for the fans, for who are you writing the music for? And as an artist, like you want to write stuff that people can relate to. But like, there's also something to be said. I know we were talking about a couple of like our early EPs this way of like, these songs are so sweet and we love them, but man, we shouldn't have rushed that recording. Like we should have just taken more time with it. Like if we could just fix these couple things, these couple riffs, these couple drum fills, like it would sound so much better. So like you want to be able to look back, especially with a full length, and this is your guys' second, right? Like you want to be able to have that roll out, and then a year or two even later when album number 3 is coming out, look back at that and be like, man, that album holds up. We still love every bit of that.
Yeah, because you guys are like a New York strip filet mignon. We're not throwing that in the microwave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That needs to be sweat over on the grill. So
what kind of steak is
that.
each member of Idle Threat?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh, I can give you the American Arson version right away. I'm like the cheap Salisbury steak that's on the menu at like at Cracker Barrel.
Right.
And then Jesse is that Salisbury steak heated up the next morning again and served as a breakfast steak. So we don't enter the territory of the fine cuts. We consider Idle Threat to be the fine cuts. We're that's not our target demographic. We're looking for those people that are choosing between a Salisbury steak and a $5 hot and ready from Little Caesars.
They probably have a little
rest in peace. I don't think they
scratched off on top, and
I don't think they have $5 hot and readies anymore, but
yeah, $7.99 now.
Yeah, what in the world has this world
and your
come to?
$15 footlongs.
Remember that in November,
dude,
everybody.
Okay. All right. For real though, I just went to Chipotle a couple days ago, and my goodness, it's like $20 for a burrito. I'm like, what is happening? It's so expensive. I can like go there like once a month, maybe. You know?
I used to have a modicum of shame in asking the person to like
Yeah.
come on, a little bit more. Like that
Come on.
was
Come
yeah,
on.
that was what was that? And now I just no, just stand there. More beef,
Yeah.
more
More.
rice, more. I have to charge you for that. Oh, sorry. Well then, no.
Yeah. Oh, anything extra? I don't want it.
Evan, when we've gone to Chipotle or Qdoba on tour, Evan will get to the end of the line after he's done that and be like, "Can I actually can I get some more rice? Like, can you?"
Now that I'm thinking
No,
about it.
it's the meat. So look, if you're gonna pay for double meat, if you're gonna do double chicken, here's the secret. You don't tell them until after they do the scoop. Because if you tell them double chicken, guess what? You don't get double chicken. You get like 1.37%.
Yeah.
Or 1.3 times, I shouldn't say 1.3 times percent. If you tell them, you just let them do, oh yeah, just chicken. You let them do the chicken. And then you say, actually, I think I'll have double chicken. Yeah, we got to charge you for that. Yeah, but now it's actually double chicken. It's not 1.37 times.
Just like one other half scoop. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just the nose of the spoon. You're like, who made the nose of the spoon? Did you guys file that down and make it skinnier? Oh man, that's yeah, and then we all know, once you get out on the road, which when you're on the road, like Chipotle or Qdoba is like a super healthy meal. Like, oh, I'm gonna eat something really, really healthy because I mean, especially with you guys, you're telling us which barbecue places to go to, and then they just have to roll us out of the place.
Yeah.
So,
Get out of here.
so you get in there and it's like the first green thing that you've seen in weeks, and you're like, look, I need, yeah, I'm trying to get my fill. I'm trying to actually get something healthy into my body before I, get back on gas station fried chicken that they've put in the freezer at, 2 a.m. and then you buy it
Tornadoes.
anyways, and then you eat it sitting on the tongue of your trailer, and you leave your phone next to you, and you leave the gas station, and your phone gets
Dude,
run over. And
I forgot about that.
late to
Oh
load.
my gosh, dude.
Oh, I was just giving a hypothetical. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry. I must have dreamed that.
So this actually,
Dreamt-
this is
dreamt?
we usually ask this at like the very end, but since we have already broached the topic, we might as well ask you
Gosh,
guys
dude.
now. So one of our favorite things to do, because we started this podcast during COVID when nobody was touring, one of our favorite things to do is to ask people if they have any favorite or memorable tour disasters that they would like to share. So does anything come to mind for you guys?
So many.
So many.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's
ones?
a couple stories that you could entertain us with.
So I feel like the tour we did with you guys kind of got put through the ringer a lot on that run.
Yeah.
That normally happens to us. So like it was like kind of nice that was happening to you.
You're like, low key, I'm thankful. Sorry, but yeah.
We were plot twist. We were just your voodoo doll for that for that tour.
I feel like,
That's why they said yes to touring with us again.
I had no idea it was, but you know what? I would love to do more with you guys. Let's do as many.
Speaking of, yeah,
Of course you would.
My gear can't afford to break anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with you guys, it was like between the phone, I think there was a lot of like technical issues and these little,
dude.
crappy sound systems that we were getting run through. But yeah, I mean, for us, like that's kind of normal for us. So we typically have gear break. We typically have, I mean, I'm just gear van problems. Like the amount of van problems that we've had is like, it's at this point, it's like every other tour. But one that the one that I'll always remember as, okay, there's two that were like really terrible nights. There was one in particular that actually ended in, I guess, a positive way you could look at it. But like, so we played Pittsburgh, and we actually played with this band who's now like doing pretty well. They're called I don't know if it's like 156 Over Silence or how they say it, but like 156 Silence. And we were both kind of at the same level at that point. So like we played in this bar in Pittsburgh to nobody. And then we were on tour with a band called Native Tongue, and they had some friends in Buffalo. And the next show was in Syracuse, New York. So it's kind of like, right. We were like, hey, let's just cut the drive. And they knew some people to stay with in Buffalo. And we're like, well, maybe we can also like stay. Well, that tour, their band was at the time, we were only a 3 or 4 piece, but they were like 6. So there's already a lot, and then plus people, part of the tour party. so anyways, all that to say, like nobody was going to take that large to house, 10 plus people. So inevitably we got split up. Well, they put out a Facebook message to just be like, hey, can anybody house 4 guys? And there's a band called Bungler out of New York that awesome band, but they knew somebody that they said we could stay with. So cool. We don't know them. We're just going to go roll up at their house at like 2 a.m. I'm like messaging this guy on Facebook. I can't remember. I think his name is like Alex or something like that. And he's like, yeah, you can stay with us. So we get there and some guy comes out to greet us and he says his name, but it's not whatever it was on the text message. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is the right guy. So we go in and we're sitting there. We brought all our stuff in, and his roommates come out, and you can just tell like they're just not on this planet. Like they'd been smoking something, like they were gone, but they were super interested in our van, and it was just weird. Like they're like peeking through the blinds, like, what kind of gear you guys got?
What you
Like
got?
asking us questions. Yeah. We're like, we kind of listed some of our gear, like, cool. And they
Can
just
you
like,
can you write out the approximate value of each item?
Serial numbers.
yeah, have the serial numbers on those still. But so we just got some weird vibes. And I remember some girl came out of a room that wasn't like, it wasn't this guy's girlfriend because he had told me his girlfriend was somewhere else. And it was this weird thing. And so we're like laying there and it's like dark and it's like 4 a.m. and we just get this, like all of us felt uncomfortable. And somebody texted our group chat and you just see everyone's faces light up. And someone said, do you want to get out of here? And everyone's like, yes. So we got, after like I left out some details, but there's some, like, we basically figured out this guy is a drug dealer because we invited him he had a really nice house, he had really nice stuff, but we had invited him out to get buffalo wings with us because we were in Buffalo. And he's like, I can't, I never know like who I'm going to see or like when I need to see them or just some weird. We were just uncomfortable. We were young too. Like we didn't, maybe we were a little bit scared for no reason, but we were just like, yeah, let's go. So we pack up at like 4 a.m. And I texted the guy and I'm like, hey, like I waited till we left. But I was like, we are we decided we're going to cut the drive. Like we just want to go ahead and get there. So we can.
Yeah, so that's legit. I mean, it's not like you didn't stay at all, right? You were there for a few
Yeah.
hours and so.
Yeah, an hour listening to them and then like 30 minutes laying down.
Yeah.
We get to Buffalo, we drive to Niagara Falls because like let's just go there and like see Niagara Falls at sunrise. And so we try to sleep in a Tim Hortons parking lot, and we see Niagara Falls. But it was just such a long day that like I'll always remember that. I feel like it ended up pretty cool. We've had other situations where like you're stuck at someone's house at night that you don't want to be at, but it doesn't resolve in that way.
Yeah. It's too awkward to leave somehow.
Yeah, dude, it's always we've talked about this as a band, like it's always when you're staying with people, normally ideally you can stay with people you already know, like homies and stuff, but then occasionally you have to like kind of cast the line out and be like, hey, is anybody able to host a band? Or you have like somebody who knows somebody and they're like, hey, you guys can stay with us, or somebody you maybe loosely know.
Yeah,
my thing is like, all right, while I greatly appreciate anybody who's willing to host any band, obviously, make sure that if you're going to host a band, like at least have a place that is like hostable, like
that's fair.
Like
that's fair.
It's one thing. It's okay if you can't host people at your house or if it's not in the condition, there's no judgment. But it's like, if you're going to like invite people to come over, like, and some people just don't get it. It's almost like maybe they're like, oh, that'd be sick to have like a band stay at our house, and like that'd be cool, a cool story. And we're obviously like exhausted on the road. We're like, any place is great, but then I know Ernie and I've even talked about this, where like, we're kind of at the point now where it's like, if we show up to like someone's house we've never been at and we open the door and it's like maybe a crust punk house or like something that we're like, just not, we're like, I'm so sorry, we can't stay here. Like, we're just gonna like tell them, be like, because early on we're like trying to be nice, trying to be like, oh yeah, this is cool, thank you, and like trying to be appreciative and not like jerks about it. And but it's like, we got to have a line at some point. You know, like we got to have some dignity. It'd be like,
You
all
got
right,
to be alive for the next show.
right.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to sleep on like a layer of dust or like cockroaches crawling into my sleeping bag. You know, like
Or
it's
back patio.
yeah,
Back
right,
patio.
dude.
I mean,
Yeah,
that happened
it's
to me.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
I was told, yeah, we have a place that you can stay, and it
Yeah.
was the back patio. And I don't mean like you're thinking maybe a covered porch.
Yeah.
You're thinking maybe a deck, and it's open to the sky, and we're gonna sleep under the stars. No, I'm talking about a concrete slab back patio, which like, yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah. It's
you
like,
letting me stay
thanks.
in your yard,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
My dogs even get to come in the house at night. So like, yeah, I appreciate it, but
That
yeah,
was actually better than
Higgins.
the van.
yeah.
Right. At that point, I just sleep
Yeah,
Yeah.
uncomfortably in the van. Like that would be more comfortable to
Yeah.
me. It's like at least have a cushion or something.
We
yeah.
got one of those invitations. We got told, I'm not going to name the venue or the band we were with. I don't want to like again throw anyone specific under the bus, but we got told that us and the band we were on the tour with that this venue had
The venue
like
doesn't
an
exist anymore,
apartment.
so
They told us
you're
they
good.
they
The
told
venue
us they
doesn't
were like,
exist anymore.
Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah,
okay,
go
that's
go
fair.
ahead,
Okay.
Jesse. Go ahead, Jesse.
Well, this venue told us that they had an apartment in the back of the venue that was specifically there for the bands that come through. That like,
Okay.
hey, you don't have to stay here. Like, if you got hotels, great. But like, we have an apartment. It's got a bathroom. Like, they told us there's a couple bedrooms. Like, basically a built-in place to stay. So us at the time, we had no label support yet. We were like still, making our way. So anywhere we could cut corners financially, we would, and like comfortably, right?
Yeah.
And so we were like, great. We show up to this venue, play the whole show. The guy like tells us when we get there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just keep your stuff in the van after the show, after the people clear out, like we'll move everything into the apartment space in the back. Throughout the whole night, without saying anything to each other, we had all been walking around this venue, like just exploring, being like, I wonder where this like apartment area is.
Yeah. Like,
Comes to the end of the night, everybody is gone except us and this venue owner. And he comes up to us and he starts moving benches out into like the middle of the venue floor. And we all look at each other and start going like, did you guys see the bedroom? Where's the bedroom? Where's the apartment? Did you guys find an apartment tonight? And so we all walk out to the van and realize that this is not a thing. And one of us, I forget who it was, walked up to the venue owner and found out that, in fact, like, oh yeah, no, he just meant that you could use this room as an apartment. And like, here, let's pull out some of the benches from like the lobby and you guys can lay on those, or if you want to lay your sleeping mats out or something like that.
He showed us
And
a cool trick where you could put 6 chairs together.
oh, dude.
Chairs are like L's. So if you're only listening to this podcast, I'm giving you a great visual, but chairs are like L's. You like put them together like this and make
Dude,
yourself like a tube,
I've
like
had to
a
do
Japanese
that.
tube
I've
hotel.
had to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he showed us
setting
this
all
like
this
really
stuff
cool trick.
up, and we're out in the van looking at each other like someone's got to go in and tell him we're not staying here,
Yeah.
right? So there was a solid 30-minute like silent argument going on in the van of us with our friend's band sitting there like, somebody's got to, like, every 2 minutes someone would speak up and be like, so, and then we would just sit there. And eventually the guitarist for this band, his name's Josh, he got up and he just goes, fine, I'll do it. He walks back in. 2 minutes later, he goes, all right, just drive, just go.
Yeah, just get out of here.
And then we ended up staying with
it
our
is funny,
friend's
like-
mom, who made us like endless amounts of French toast in the morning. So
Yes,
like,
see, those are the places, man. Like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Yeah, for every bad place you've stayed somewhere that you did not deserve
That's
to
a
stay.
good point.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're so, and hopefully everybody listening understands. We're not talking about like the average person who's like,
Right.
oh, I only have a 3-bedroom house and we just had a carpeted basement.
Right.
Like, no, we love you.
yes.
We're not
Thank
talking
you.
about you.
Yeah.
And
Disclaimer, thank you to everyone who's even offered.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's like couches are great. Seriously, like not even joking. Like
Yeah.
couches, even floor space. Because usually we have like, you know, camping
Sleeping
mats and stuff
bags,
with
camping
us and
mats,
whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's like literally, it's like like it's a good point. The average person that we've stayed with is amazing. It's like those extreme
Incredible.
cases, and you,
95% of our hosts have been great.
yes,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the back patio and the mystery apartment, those are, those are definitely the exception to the rule. And none of us, I think, are divas.
Oh, yeah.
We'll pretty much will and have slept everywhere. I have
Yeah.
the little time hop app on my phone that like reminds me of what I was doing every year. And so summers are always great because I've always been like, for some reason, I've always done a lot of my touring in the summer. And one came up the other day of me sleeping underneath a table in a coffee shop because it was like we just pushed all the chairs out, and I was like, "This is awesome. This is like privacy suite right here.
Yep.
Nobody's gonna bother me. It's blocking the light and everything." So
It's like a little
no,
fort.
we are not picky at all. So you know that if if you're getting brought up, then something absolutely nuts is
Totally. Those disaster places, maybe not so much anymore, but they were happening like at least once a tour. You know,
Yeah.
like
oh
Yeah.
man.
expect at least one to
Yeah.
do that. And I think Nathan
Like,
hit on like I'm just at a point where me personally, like I'm at the point where I'm not afraid to be like,
Yeah.
I'm not staying here. Like I'm
With
not
No,
us.
that's
I'm like,
that's how you
30.
know that's how you know you've grown up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, it all adds up to like on a tour, even if you're only out for like a week, if
Oh,
you
yeah.
have multiple nights, like it's one thing to have an overnight drive. You gotta suck it up at the beginning of the tour to get to the first date. You drive overnight, you don't get any sleep, whatever, but you know you're gonna crash the next night. You got a hotel, you got a nice place to stay at, whatever. If you have multiple of those nights in a row, especially in a row, throughout a tour they add up, and so not
Yeah.
only do your performances go down because you're just a zombie and
Mhm.
you got a just throbbing headache, you just can barely think straight, but then like I mean, Evan and I have run into this where we get into fights on tour and we realize both of us are just
Yeah.
exhausted,
Yeah.
and like we'll get to the end of the tour and we'll look back and think like, okay, yeah, maybe we didn't see eye to eye, but that was really stupid. We
Yeah.
just literally
Yeah,
had
there's no reason
slept
to
for
fight about
2 hours and slept in our van for 3 nights in a row or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, so that's part of it too. Like, where we even sometimes now will look at it, and if we don't know anyone, we don't have a host, we'll be like, you know what? If we don't suck it up and pitch in for a hotel or whatever and get a decent night's sleep tonight, everything's going to go to crap. We're not going to play a good show. We're going to be pissed at each other all
Right.
day tomorrow. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So like it's relational too, especially for us. Like I can imagine like we only have two of us, let alone
Right.
if you have a 4 or 5 piece band like you guys do, it can add up.
My for
Definitely.
me, you know how there's like a food pyramid. I have like a tour pyramid, and like the number one thing that I need in order for me to be able to sing all of the songs, all of the nights is sleep. Like I
100%.
can drink a bunch of caffeine to stay up. I can eat terrible food. I could like just drink kerosene if I wanted to, and I'd be totally fine. But as soon as I string together a few nights in a row where I don't get a lot of sleep, then I'm just like, okay, cool. We're not playing that song because I'm not going to be able to sing
Yeah.
that part.
It didn't happen.
And unlike you guys, they don't have just, four dudes up there who could all be lead singers in whatever band they were in. So, and I also think that maybe Zeke has like had a lot of practice with like swallowing glass or something because like
Yeah.
his vocal is so intense and then he just like does it every night the
Yeah.
same at the
Yeah, dude.
same intensity at the same level of quality. So something to be said for that for sure.
Yeah, he'll appreciate that. I think a lot of that has to do with he started taking vocal warm-ups more seriously before
Yeah.
we shows. I mean,
Yeah,
kind of
dude.
just stretching in
Man, I need
general.
to do that. How am I 40 years old and I still don't take vocal warm-ups seriously
Yeah.
before a
Yeah.
show?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do it. I don't necessarily do like the traditional warm-ups, but like I'll go out there. I don't want the first time that I've like exerted myself to be on stage. So we always take
Yeah.
usually 15 minutes. And unfortunately, like a lot of times that's at the expense of like if we're on tour with the band, like
Yeah.
you know, if they play right before us, I probably haven't seen the second half of their set like the entire time because I know that I have to go and take that time to stretch, to jump around, to scream in an alleyway. But
Yeah.
Zeke's always there too, and I know Nathan. Everybody stretches, but Zeke's always there doing his vocal warm ups and whatnot. And I think because you know, obviously I've been with him for a decade now, but like I've noticed in the last couple of years him doing that, and it really does make a difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think the thing that impressed me most when we were out with you guys was not just the quality of the performance, but the consistency of it every single night. And you know, having things dialed in, both from a technical perspective, but also you know, from a performance perspective. And you know, to us, if we're playing like however many nights in a row and there's, you know, two bad nights or whatever, we're like, you know, that's so we still got a pretty high grade on that tour. Still got an 87%. My mom's not going to be too upset with that when I bring it home. But for some people, you know, especially you guys are similar to us in that you're not constantly full-time, you know, foot on the gas pedal touring. So for some people, that might be the only opportunity that they could see us um maybe in their life, you know, hopefully not, maybe, you know, but maybe a few years in between shows. And so, you know,
Yeah.
that your D plus night that you average with some A nights, you know, that for you it feels good at the end, but for that person, you know, that might have been the only
That
opportunity that
was,
they have to see you because of the fact
Yeah.
that we're not touring, you know, 250 dates out of the year or anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally. And I think
to
like,
that. Go ahead.
oh yeah, no, I was gonna say like I think that brings up an interesting kind of topic where it's like almost a surreal, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but kind of being in that position of you know being a band that's like on tour and playing in front of people that's could be the only time they ever see your band, you know. And that's, I remember as a kid growing up being a kid who would go to a show and have like listened to a band for months, even years, and then be like, this is the one time I can go see this band, you know. And so even in a good way, it kind of like is convicting to like be like, man, I want to give my best every night, you know. And I think we all can, you know, share that same opinion of like,
Yeah.
none of us are going up there like, this is just a show and whatever. It's like we're all giving our best at this, you know, at the same time. And then also too, I think on stage, but also off stage too, where it's like, because I think we've all had those interactions with people we've looked up to over the years, you know. And like, granted, everyone's human, so somebody might just be having an off night or like something, but you kind of that one interaction you have with them where you like, this is my chance to say how much their music changed my life, you know. And then the person's like, whatever, man, you know. And you're like, oh, this is so heartbreaking, you know. And so it's like on the flip side, being in that position of like talking with people who are like, dude, we've had some crazy conversations with people, you know, that they come up to us to say, man, like, you know, Idle Threat, like your guys' music has done this for me or helped me through this time or this or this. And it's just been like humbling and just so encouraging to be like, man, this, to be able to be a part of something like that is crazy. And so like I want to try to, with every interaction I have with somebody who's come to see our band, like leave like a good lasting impression. Obviously again, there's like grace and there's understanding for like people, like if we haven't had sleep, you know, or staying at crazy places and have an off night or something, but it can kind of feel like that extra responsibility of like, this is the one time somebody might see, you know, our band ever, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely live in a world where the live show is secondary to the recorded music. So what I mean by that is, you know, the live show is something slightly more than a necessary evil, and the recorded music is, you know, the priority. And I think there are still people out there who feel the opposite, that their strongest connection to an artist or to music, it comes through the live show, and then the recording is just sort of like, you know, a stand-in for that live show. You know, the thing that you have because obviously you can't see that band play every day. And you guys, I think, fit really well in that mold because when you hear the recording, it sounds like you guys sound live, but then when you hear it live, man, the power and the emotion just comes through. And having grown up in that sort of environment where like everything was about the live show and listening to music is just what we do, in between live shows. I really appreciated that, and getting an opportunity to see that from you guys every single night. It's just very encouraging and inspiring to me. So thank you for that.
No, thanks for saying
Yeah,
that.
that is a lot.
I think it's funny because we hear that a lot, and it's not so much that like it's not really on purpose necessarily. We're always chasing the ability to capture our live sound on a recording, without being tracking, fully live or anything.
Out of Thread live album.
Yeah. Uh, but and that's not to knock anybody who's worked on any of our records. Like we just kind of had, I don't know, like we put a lot into the live show, while also maintaining the belief that it's the music, that it's like the actual songs themselves that matter. The live show is awesome, and it's a way to spread the music around, and kind of get people to become exposed to what you have to say. But I know Zeke and I, since the start of this band, have always pushed for like, well, let's write like music that we believe in, and then we're just going to practice the crap out of it, and like we're going to try to be as tight as possible. And it's funny you mentioned like those D+ nights that you have. We're definitely the band that other people could be having a B+ or A- kind of night, and to us it feels like a D+ night. Like it's never good enough. And I'm probably one of the worst at that. Like I will be like, oh man, everything felt so good except for that part. But that one part where somebody came in too early ruined the whole thing. Like we got to tighten that up. We cannot do this again, like, and it's just like, I think it's just that striving for excellence that I think is important. I think everyone should have that, obviously at a balance. Don't need to like beat everybody over the head with it, but yeah, I've definitely been better at it. I know like there's actually a moment we put out an EP, our first EP ever. You can't really even find it online because I just hate the music. But we played this show, and I remember nobody gave a crap. Like it was like one of those things where like there were people there. It was a packed show, but we played and people took a smoke break. And it was like that feeling sucked so bad that I was like, I remember like I was like borderline just like hysteric off after the show. Like I was like, I'm not playing another show until we have new music. And that was true. We did not. Then we wrote Grown Tired, which was like what we consider to be the first real EP. And that's how we got kind of plugged in with like, different fests that I know that we've also played together with you guys. Like, I don't know if you guys ever played Take Hold Fest or anything like that, but like Take Hold, Bloodline Fest, like that kind of DIY community.
City, yeah.
City, like that record got us to that, which then, helped carry us forward. So all that's just long-winded response to say we just take the recording music seriously. We're just the live show for what I think it's just the combination of the 5 guys that we have, and we all care about it and we all put a lot into it. And at the end of the day, like me and Zeke talk all the time, it's like it's no fun to suck. Like we want to be good.
Right. Yeah.
If I had $1 for every time Evan and I have walked off stage and like fist bumped, and in the same motion one of us looked at each other, I would say there's not a single show where we like don't walk off saying, great set. Yeah, that one fill I totally screwed up. Or
Yep.
Evan like, oh, but like that riff, I missed that one picking part, and it just totally. And there's always one thing, or like we got slightly off the click there, or we got like there's always that one thing. Which you don't want to like. I think the key to that is like we always then immediately will try and get to the merch booth as soon as possible, because like you guys were saying, like we want to connect with those fans, we want to have those conversations with them, try and have those interactions together and give them that positive experience. And it's almost always right then that we get recentered. Like I'll be hysterical about how I play, kind of like, that's not an exaggeration. Like until I get to the merch booth and I talk to a couple fans and they're just like elated about having seen the live set, have almost always how much of a good time they have. Like you were saying, Nate, like your music means so much to us, like all this stuff, here's what it's done to us, and or just like, hey, I just found out about you guys, that was so cool. And that almost always brings me back to like, all right, chill out, like it's gonna be all right. And like you gotta find that balance, right? Because you don't want to lose the I talk with one of our worship pastors at our church all the time about it. We always strive for a spirit of excellence, right? Like
absolutely.
Worship is about the mindset and the heart behind it. But there's also this in at least in our church or our worship sense, like a desire to honor the Lord with our desire for excellence and wanting to put our best foot forward to honor him. And I think of that in the same way of like when we go out as a band, of like, it shouldn't completely derail how I view the whole experience, but it is healthy to have that and honoring to the fans that follow you guys, to have to walk off stage, and if you did mess up, not just blow it off and be like, who cares? Maybe I'll screw it up again tomorrow night.
Maybe I'll do it purposely.
Like it's good because you're right, Evan, too. That might be the one chance they get to see you. That might be the one chance, and so you want to put your best foot forward. But that's an interesting way to put it, and I think like I would echo what Evan said. Like having gone out with you guys for those days, we were like all the people we've toured with, not just saying it. Like it was very noticeable. Like every single night, I almost just felt like someone was going up there and like press and play. And like playing the exact same line, but like in the best way possible. Like I didn't like, I felt like it was a fun, energetic experience to watch you guys as much as we could every night. But at the same time, like I never felt like, oh man, dude, like he missed that vocal part tonight. Like, he didn't hit that high note tonight or whatever. He didn't hit that scream tonight. His voice cracked or whatever. Like every night it was super consistent. And I mean,
we were also in a really good mood because we were done. So we were like, we got that over with. Now we get to
I think also like the human error part of it is a huge. I'm a fan of it. Like I don't, obviously no one wants to mess up, but like I think what really separates like the good bands from the great ones, and I'm not claiming to be a great one. Like I think if anything,
you can.
I'm just now accepting that we're pretty good. Like I've always said we were okay, and now we've moved up to.
This is what I try to tell people about these guys when they call them Great Danes. I'm like, they're good Danes. They're good Danes. They're working on being great Danes.
I haven't heard great. I've seen
decent Danes.
Decent Danes.
I've seen the great bands, and I want to be that. But I think what really separates a real band from maybe just being like a local one is how you do respond to those errors. I mean, I saw Jimmy Eat World once, and Jim completely botched this lead like solo, and it like I'll remember it, but not in a way of like it didn't sour the band. It was like the way that he just kind of like laughed it off and just kept like right into the chorus. It was just super cool. Like it was like I could experience a guy who's been doing it for probably longer than I've been alive, and he messes up too, and like you just let it roll off, and that's to me really important, and I've always tried to carry that over. Like when I mess up, don't point it out, don't you just
don't like draw attention to it. Dude, so something you said reminded me of two things. One, last year, to your point, last year at Furnace Fest, getting to watch Seosin was incredible, unreal. I was like front row, just like high school me, just but their bass player, so they had like the stage, and then last year they put up kind of the front like riser, almost like a platform that's a little bit lower than the stage itself. And so like Anthony was doing his thing on the front, and then their bass player was like just going nuts on this thing, and just it was super fun to watch. And then at one point at the end of one of their songs, I can't remember which one it was, he likes okay, so you have to picture this again, people just listening will have to use your imagination. Standing on the platform, he was close to one of like stage left, close to that end. He was facing stage right. I was kind of just like rocking out, like took a couple steps forward, then kind of rocked backwards, missed his step, fell completely off the left side of this stage onto just the grass, just straight on his back. And I'm literally looking down at him like,
oh no.
Like, you okay, man? And so he's just like having a blast, just like playing the bass at that like, you know, the last few notes or whatever. And it was a surreal moment of like, wow, he just completely wiped out in front of me, but yet he's still playing and having a blast. And then they finish the song, he gets up, they kind of like comment on it jokingly, like, hey, you all right, man? You know, just stuff like that. But it was like, yeah, Ernie, like you said, it's this memorable moment of like,
yeah,
that was wild, you know, and it was a mistake, quote unquote, but it was super cool, and it didn't detract from the experience for me at all, you know. And then Ernie, the other thing, it's up to you if you want to share this, but it gets me every time you share this story of what not to do when you mess up live, and I'll let you film it.
I'm curious.
We played this show very early on, maybe second Idle Threat show ever. And it was one of those crazy, just like 8-band bill.
Only starts at 9.
Crazy, like
AM. AM.
Like that's by the time we got on, it was close to that, it felt like. But only the bands were there, you know, like maybe a couple of their fans, but like as the bands are done playing, they're leaving. And anyways, there's this band, I don't know their name.
It's probably better than we don't.
I mean, I highly doubt they're still a band.
Yeah,
you know, like they were always destined to just stay a local band and then break up.
Arsona Americana. I think that's what they were.
Yeah,
we'll go with that. Yeah, we'll
fire.
Yeah.
So they're a metal band, and they're like, every song kind of sounds the same. And then this guy who's playing definitely like, you know, the flying V type guitar, like sharp edges. You know, a solo is coming up, and he starts it, and it's like, you guys know, like Rock Band or no, Guitar Hero, when you like listen to clink 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 clink.
Yeah.
He starts doing that, and like,
oh no,
missing every note. And instead of just kind of like, I don't know, you could definitely like stop or just, you know, whatever. He does stop, but he just hangs his head and he drops the shoulders down. I know if people are listening can't really see it.
In defeat.
Just like complete defeat. Like hangs his head, long hair, and it covers his face, and his arms and shoulders are just down over his guitar.
Oh no. Just like like the end of the race in Mario Kart when you get 12th, and it's just like the sad.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And it was like, dude, that's not how you do this.
Yeah.
Like, I get you messed up, but just like, I don't know.
You got to keep rolling. Yeah.
Oh man.
Or something. Like,
yeah. Like,
we can figure it out.
Ernie, you remember that, dude, there was the one time I think I've messed up the most in one of our sets was, I was at the weekend run we did with Maywin. Yeah, it was that later this year. And I was just feeling off that night in general. And so we go to start, like, No Turning Back, and we're like, you know, doing our thing. And then it gets to the chorus, and we're like, you know, I'm supposed to go, and I go like, and I'm like, what? Like, it just, what happened? And then it comes around again, you know, I'm supposed to go, but I go like, yeah, I go like, I'm like, I gotta learn how to play guitar immediately, ASAP. And I just, it took me a second to be like, what just happened? But then I like jumped back on, and then luckily, like, the second chorus, it was not the case that I messed up. But like, that's probably the worst I've messed up during one of our sets. And I was like, I'm sure the other guys
thing it wasn't in like the most
like,
memorable lick of your most popular
song. I know.
Or anything.
Yeah,
oh wait.
Oh, whoops. the one that everyone's expecting is going to be, wow. But yeah, I'm sure the other guys are just like, hey, are you okay? Like, you never messed that up. What's wrong?
I always hear things and then I'm like, did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Did he do that?
Did you just bomb the lead on that?
But I can't think about that. I got to worry about my parts.
Right.
I got to scream.
This whole topic of conversation, man, I literally I just watched, for anyone out there, there's another great YouTube channel called Drumeo that does a bunch of like breakdown videos with drummers and being a drummer. Like it's one of my favorite channels. And I just watched an episode they did with Chris from Ocean's 8 Alaska. Absolutely insane band and just insane drummer and musician overall. And the whole thing, like a whole section of this like hour-long video, he just talks about how the guy from Dromeo talks about how one of his favorite things about Chris and the most impressive things about him is how he constantly is talking about having a positive relationship with his mistakes. And Chris then goes on to talk about how like he would not be able to like function as a musician if he couldn't have got himself to that point. Because you have those moments, like you're gonna have those moments. Being able to like laugh them off, or like you said, just be like, well, I played that wrong. I'm gonna keep going. Like, you gotta keep going. I can remember when we first started touring, like I would have those, if I would have those moments, it would completely derail the song or possibly even the set for me. Like I could not get out of my head.
Yeah.
Like, and now I'm annoyed with it. If I realize I missed something or I get off the click, I'm annoyed with it for a few seconds. I'm like, crap, stupid. Like, and then we get back on, or like we would be looping, and at the time we did a lot of like repetitive stuff. Evan would maybe like miss a guitar lick or like not hit it right on time, and then like sometimes try and restart it. But then we got to a point where he was able to just look back, shrug, laugh, and we just keep going. And like, even if there was like a one little missed part at the beginning, and then people would come up to us afterwards and say, hey guys, not like, oh man, that one song that was really bad. Like, they wouldn't even notice it. And we would be like, yeah, sorry about that one part. And they'd be like, what?
Like, huh? What are you talking about? Yeah.
Because like,
well, that was just me trying to tell them,
on.
like, don't do live looping.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea. Stay away from it.
It's scary, dude. It's scary, man.
If you think you are good at your instrument, you will no longer think that you are good at your instrument. So.
Dude,
that's like honestly, like touring with you guys, like that was like impressive to me. That like, okay, I've played like a couple shows in my life, just like acoustic solo, and that makes me so nervous. I think like I'm able to hide behind 4 other guys, and like that has helped me be confident. It's just you two up there, so it's like Evan, you're just doing good. Like you're the only guitar. Like,
dude, that's crazy
stuff, but like you've got like that's all your responsibility.
No pressure.
And then like just drums, like just two, like I don't know. I've always found that to be like really impressive, and I don't feel like I am that kind of person that could, like, we used to play as a 3-piece and I was like the only guitarist, and I was way more nervous back then than now. Like, and we're playing much bigger shows than we've ever played now, that, I don't know, I'm not as nervous or anxious before the shows, because I'm just like, oh, I'm just one of 5. Like it doesn't feel as spotlight, as it used to.
Yeah, I will say I put some steel in my spine from the years of live looping. That's what did it.
Yeah,
and
dude.
now when we go, because we've, I mean, most of our people who listen to us and listen to this know that we've kind of moved away from live looping for a few different reasons. We kind of had done like every live looping trick that there was that you could do. And it was just time to like go a different direction and stuff. But we did it for the first, I don't know, 5 years of the band. And, being detached from that, even though, I'm the only thing making, melodic noise. Jesse's back there doing percussive stuff, but, you know, even pitching down to the base. Like if I miss something, pitching down, like pitch down to the base misses it also. And
Mhm.
so there's nothing there to cover for it. But um man, having done live looping in the past, now everything just feels easy and not stressful. So
Yeah, dude. You like started at difficulty level like extreme, and now you're down to like you're like, all right, now we're good.
yeah, kicking off the ankle weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, with all the talk that we've done today on live stuff and touring and everything, I know you guys are kind of in a similar boat to us where you have you know, other careers, other lives outside of touring. We're not doing the whole like 250 dates a year thing. So like how do you guys find a balance in that? I mean, I know we're kind of living in the first era where that's really been possible because you can stay connected to people through social media and stuff, but do you guys, is it defined? Does it change season by season, or how do you guys like balance that right now?
Yeah, it's uh I would say it's opportunity by opportunity. Um we kind of arrived to where we're at, and I'll take like most of the blame for it if there is blame to be placed. Where we got off of like perhaps our biggest year ever back in 2022, I think.
Yeah.
We did a run with Emery and Aaron Gillespie, and then we did another run with them and Norma Jean, and there was like a separate leg of that with just Norma Jean. So like we're with these bands that like we've grown up loving, and and then we come off of that and we play Furnace Fest, and I mean, as you guys know, like just the money isn't there. And I've been married
Yeah.
since 2020, um, and now Zeke's married, and then the other guys have significant others or family, and like just to like you know
Bills, life
yeah,
bills.
got
Yeah.
stuff going on, and it just got to where I was like, okay, I've been a road dog for like my all my 20s. Like we were doing like we weren't doing 250 days, but we were doing close to 200. Like we were doing a lot in the early days. And it was fun, but you're playing to like on a good night back then, you're playing to like 50 people, and like there's
Including the bands and the staff.
Yeah.
totally
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yep.
And they're buying merch, but it's not like a lot, and like you're not really getting much of a guarantee. And so it's just we've now opted so all that, so we come off these big tours or whatever, and the volume was there, and there was a lot of nights where it was like, holy crap, like this would be awesome. I still walked away though making less than I would have made had I just stayed at home and worked. I mean, at that time I was working a job where I didn't get PTO. Like I was just not getting paid to be out.
Yeah.
Anyways, I decided to make a career change, went back to school. And then from there, it was just like different things. Then Zeke got married. And now I'm a dad. So there's just other life things I wanted to have happen in my life, and everyone else too. So, anyways, we never really decided, there was never like a conversation of like, hey, let's slow down. We just stopped getting opportunities. And it might be because we weren't doing enough of like the in-between stuff, like going out with like, just regional bands. Like I'll see, bands that are on the come up, like they'll do a big tour, but then they'll do some like smaller stuff still in between. And we weren't doing that. And because we kind of opted for quality over quantity at this point. Um, and so like not to say we haven't done anything, quote unquote significant since then. Like, I graduated and immediately like the next week we did the tour with you guys. So it's like we went
Yeah.
back out. We still have the intent to tour. We still have the intent to play shows. Um, this year has just been focused on writing a record. We do have Furnace Fest coming up. Last year we played Is for Lovers Fest, the Hawthorne Heights thing. So like we had some cool moments.
Yeah.
And I still see moments happening like that for us. It's just, I just am not at a point in my life, and some of the other guys are in the same boat where it's like I just can't like go and play in this like rural town somewhere 8 to 10 hours away from my house to 20 people and bring my wife home, like $200 at the end of it. It's like I can't do that anymore. And so we've just kind of moved, just kind of outgrown it, I think. Not that there isn't, you know, there's not a definitive like life stage. It's just, that's just kind of how it fell for us. So if the opportunities came knocking though, and it was just like, hey, like, you know, this band wants to go out and you can make a decent amount. It's not about the money, but just the amount of
Yeah,
people,
like practically.
you know, like I want my music to be in front of as many people as possible.
You have to pick and choose, right? Yeah, like to that kind of on the same topic. And Ralphie, guest appearance by Ralphie.
The decent Dane.
Decent
The
Dane.
decent Dane, Ralphie, the decent Dane. I feel like he's earned great status just
He has.
sheerly on size.
He has. Frankie's
Yeah.
still working on it.
Yeah, Frankie's still decent.
Great
But,
new
like,
training.
Yeah.
it plays into that for I mean, Evan will be able to clip what we just talked about up if he wants to, but we were kind of talking about before he popped up, and even then after it, like the balance between band and family life. And Ernie, like to your point, like dude, married life's been great. Like, and having a significant other, whether you're married or not, that supports your dreams, but also like you inherently, kind of like you were saying, Ernie, like you reprioritize, right? Like, so maybe you can't say yes to every opportunity,
Yeah.
but also having someone that's still like, when you do get that one great opportunity, like she's the first one to be like, hey, no, like you should do this.
Yeah.
Like go, like that's awesome, and like super encouraging and congratulating and like reassuring. I think that's huge, and it says something for it sounds kind of cliche to say, for band guys to really find someone who can sit in that place and be on that journey with them, because it is a struggle. And what I was going to ask right before Evan got up was like, do you guys find it's on a band, not so much even just like with your families and stuff, because obviously you've chosen those people for a reason, you know they're going to support you. As a band, do you guys find it's gotten, you know, you're at a place where it's gotten easier to kind of say an opportunity comes up, you know, someone, Zeke shares like, hey, I just, you know, got connected with this person, we got this festival offer, we got this tour offer, whatever, and one of the guys pops in the chat and says, like, guys, I have this like family event that day, or whatever the thing is, I gotta work, I don't have time off, I only have, you know, this much time off left.
Yeah.
Are you guys able to, you feel like you're pretty comfortably able to put that out there for the other guys to hear without being kind of worried about kickback, and have honest discussions without, you know, feel heard, but without feeling nervous about kind of the judgment side of that? Is it, they're a pretty good dynamic? I mean, I would assume so. I'm not, obviously you guys aren't just gonna out each other and be like, "Ah, this guy's a jerk." But like, I would assume so, if you guys have been able to make, you know, especially with some of you having those big life changes, been able to make those adjustments and still keep going, that it's gotten to a good point, healthy point with that.
I think the main thing is we've tried to help mitigate that by being proactive, in that we keep an ongoing calendar. We're not great about keeping it updated, but for the most part, like we don't even consider applying for things or throwing our name in a hat unless we know for a fact that no one is out of town, no one has a big thing that, you know, would prevent them. As for
Shoot, Evan, that's a good idea.
yeah, like
that.
it's something that we've done that has definitely helped, because it's like, I mean, and on the other side of that though, like if you didn't update it,
right,
if you let us know and an opportunity comes, the understanding is that we're going to make it work. So it's like, whether you're going to be a part of it or not, we're going to make it happen. And we just haven't had anything that's like been that way, but like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be a show one day where I'm not there or Zeke isn't there, because it was just too much of it. And like, I've only point us out because we're the voices in the band, you know, like, not to say that anyone else is like replaceable, but like, you know,
no one cares about drummers.
Yeah. We have played shows without JJ, and like, and obviously Nathan doesn't make every show. DJ doesn't make a majority of the out of town shows.
How did you guys know where to get barbecue if JJ wasn't there? That's,
Hey,
you
We,
just,
we can still text him.
yeah, yeah,
oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I forgot it was 2024. Anyways.
We sent snail mail to him.
yeah. Facts. But yeah, so anyways, like, yeah, like I think that I can't speak. I mean, Nathan, you're maybe could speak to this as far as the comfortability of bringing,
Sure.
hey, I've got this going on. I don't know if that is true. Like, I bet there's my guess is that it probably isn't that comfortable. Like, I
Yeah.
think that
I
a
think
few of us make it a little bit more too much, maybe add too much pressure.
Yeah, I think like it's kind of interesting dynamic because I think there kind of always is a little bit of a sense of like, your band is like a family to you, and so it's like you don't want to let each other down. You don't want to, like, if there's an opportunity that's gonna, push your band forward or help your band be successful. You don't want to be the guy to be like, hey, sorry guys, we can't do this because of me. Like, and I feel like with our band, like I think we have a good understanding, amongst us, where it's like there's obviously with preparation and like advanced warning of stuff with like calendar issues and whatnot, and like with everything kind of being in line, there's like grace and understanding for things coming up and like family emergencies or priorities of like a job so you can provide for your wife, or your kids. And so there's a healthy like balance there. And also too, I think on the other side we have a healthy balance of like collectively each one of us in the band want success for the band as a whole, where it's like we want the best for the band. It's not like an ego thing where it's like, well, I don't want you to play this festival because I can't play with you. Like it's like I've even heard Ernie be, several times be like, guys, if for this, X show that's happening, that's a crazy opportunity, whether I can do it or not, you guys should, take it. We should do that as a band, like, and kind of seeing the band collectively as a whole thing rather than like, oh, well, I can't make it, so the whole band shouldn't be able to make it. Now I will say I feel like, Ernie, to your point, I feel like Ernie and Zeke kind of have, not because of them, but like almost like unfair pressure on them of like, because they kind of are the voices of Idle Threat, where it's like, to me, it would be strange going to see Idle Threat and like seeing a different vocalist than Zeke. If I'm like, kind of to the point earlier of like, if like a fan is coming to see the band for the one and only time they're ever going to be able to see them, I'm sure they're going to want to see Zeke rather than like Mr. Fill-In, like, okay, he's a good vocalist, but he's not Zeke, like that's, or like Ernie, it's like those are not his screams like that I'm used to hearing on the album. So it's like, unfortunately, because in a good way, because it's their voices that are like kind of help make the identity of the band, they kind of have an extra layer of like, potential like pressure of like, okay, well, Zeke and Ernie have to be able to make 90% of the shows, otherwise we're gonna have to find a fill-in who can do it justice, and like, and none of us really want that, but like I know they're both, Zeke and Ernie are willing, if the, for whatever crazy reason, we had a chance to, I don't know, play the Olympics or something, and then one of them's like, sorry, I got to go to work. I think at that point you might, I don't know, consider leaving your job for that. But that's just separate.
Gojira, we got Idle Threat and American Arson.
But like, if you want to be the only thing that people talk about on Facebook for the next month, then
right. But like, both, to their credit, both of them would be in a heartbeat would be like, guys, like for the sake of the band, we should do this, whether I can do it or not.
Totally. And I've actually taken it a step further and been like, like I said, I took some time to go back to school. So it was like during that time, we just coincidentally didn't have any opportunities, like big ones, come our way. But if we had, I'd been like, not only would you guys do it, I'll help you find someone to take my spot. Like, am I gonna just like sit back and like, I've always viewed Idle Threat as like, we often joke about it being a family band, as in like not just like internally, but if you've ever come to like a show or bought merch or listened to us online, or even we've had plethora of fill-ins, they're all Idle Threat, like they're all part of the band in my opinion. And so like I've always viewed it that way, and I've always viewed it as like, if the band succeeds, then whether I'm on the stage or not, I also succeed. So it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter. You want to be there, I want to play these shows. Like it's still like one of the most exhilarating things to play in front of a bunch of people. But like, I don't have to, my ego isn't too big, but it's not too big. that I
You gotta have
couldn't
a little bit there.
miss it
I
out.
mean, I think that speaks a lot to you guys as people too, like, and to kind of pad that ego a bit, uh, like you got to have a certain type of person to be able to make it work, especially through life's changes. And I know you've kind of alluded to like the times there's been fill-ins or the band's grown beyond, starting with a couple members and added a person or two here, there. Um, but largely to have stayed together, and as you've added people in to have stayed together, give or take a show or two, um, because like you know you can speak to having done it since for years and years and years you weren't in the same place in life
Yeah.
as you are now. Now you have, you're married, you have a kid, and on both sides of that, on your side to say, hey, like I'm still committed to this, I'm gonna make it work, but also like to your bandmates to be able to have a group of people that are like, hey, you know what? This might mean saying no to this, but like we're still in it together. Because I think I've seen so many bands, and like I'm not, not to say they're all completely trash people, but you see so many bands just take the easy way out and just be like, this is really hard to figure out. Like due to logistical reasons, like we've decided to part ways or call it
Right.
quits. We're doing one more tour, we're done.
Or like kick
And
somebody out. Yeah.
yeah, or yeah, exactly. Like kick someone out, then there's a bunch of bad blood and drama on the internet, and it's like, okay, like there had to be a better way to go about this. And so I think it does speak to you guys as people and your character too, as musicians, as creatives, as like you said, a family, to say like, listen, no matter what changes come our way, what's road bumps we hit, like we're gonna continue forward together. We're gonna make it work. Like we're a family, go do this one thing without me, go do this random thing without me. But in large part, like we're still a band. We're as a whole, we're still together, and that's really cool to see. Um, I mean, we even don't even on the I say that like talking about bigger bands, but like even bands of our level, of the smaller to mid-sized variety, like so many bands we tour with a couple years later, it's like, oh yeah, they're no longer a band. And then all of a sudden it's because like, oh, this guy got a new job. And it's like, okay, you're telling me you took a new job and you couldn't even like play some shows on the weekend every
Right.
now and then?
Yeah.
Or like once every 2 years, take a week to go record an album.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you didn't really want to be in the band, did
Right.
you? Like,
Yeah. I feel like a great example of that is even like Holy Name, like what they're doing right now, where it's like that is an active band that like is writing incredible music. They're not touring all the time, but they're like they all have individual lives, families, but they're making it work. They're playing festivals, they're kind of doing more one-off weekender type things, live streams, and it's like that's a
Tommy
great
can do what he wants.
right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I chose between my hands and my Holy Name hoodies when we were getting on tonight. I went with hands, so you almost nailed it.
But hands, that is a good choice.
Yeah, love them. Well, so this puppy is going to lose his mind if I don't feed him soon. So I think we probably need to.
Very important question. I have one very important question.
Go for it, Jesse.
All right, you're on tour. You just had a night you slept over in one of those drug dealer apartments or houses.
Back patios.
You're having a rough morning, you're tired, you're leaving Niagara Falls, you stop at the first gas station you guys pass on the road, and you're walking in with your wallet in hand. What are your go-to snack and drink combo? I mean, you might vary a bit, but you're tired, you don't want to think much. What's your go-to? I'm getting this and this.
You had your wallet in hand and you're not ready.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude, you know.
For those of you listening, you've missed this ancient leather-bound man's wallet. That is a man's wallet.
That's right. Gosh, no, I'm going to pay for some stuff.
That's the kind of wallet you oil from time to time to keep it supple.
I'm pretty sure Indiana Jones discovered this in the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So I think for me, I would walk in groggy-eyed, zombie-like, dust off, my shoulders from whatever cobwebs I was sleeping in, and then would shuffle my way over to the coffee first off.
Okay.
Preferably like a medium to dark roast, maybe like a Brazilian blend or like a Colombian blend.
Ooh, yeah.
Especially in the new fancy gas station coffee has upped their game like in the last like 3 to 5 years, I'd say. And they have those like actual like fresh bean machine things. That sounds funny, but like, yeah, you know what I mean. So getting one of those, and then Cheez-Its, and then sour Skittles.
Ooh, yeah. I should have. I'm glad you did that, because there's a difference between sweet and savory, right?
That's right.
You want a savory snack, you want a sweet snack,
Gotta balance it out.
That makes sense.
And I would pay for it with this bad boy.
Yeah.
So supple.
Also, think about Nathan. Nathan will drink coffee whether it's 9 a.m., 9 p.m.
Good man right there.
Yes.
1 p.m. It doesn't matter.
It is true.
He'll go to sleep.
Yeah.
Evan can speak to getting annoyed with me wanting to leave at a certain time in the mornings so that we can specifically stop somewhere that serves coffee.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
All right.
I love the
I'm
taste.
gonna go
On
drink
the spot on me.
easy. I'm always getting a Dr. Pepper. I've been a Dr. Pepper man my whole life. It's 23 flavors. I mean,
Yeah.
You're making it sound like I've been a John Deere man my whole life.
there's a flavor that's not in Dr. Pepper. You don't need it.
That's a good point. There's some vanilla in there.
You got 23 of them.
There's 22 more. I know vanillas.
What are your top 10? What are your top 10 Dr. Pepper flavors?
Oh yeah, they have so many now. But we're just talking. Even the original had 23 flavors. So like,
like
offshoots. It's like, did they just go? Did you choose less?
Did you substitute? Did you add?
Anyways, Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. I used to be a Cheez-Its guy. Okay.
You got burned by the cheese.
There's no better way to knock somebody's self-esteem down. Yeah, used to be.
I used to be that.
They put out a few bad albums, and I moved on to Goldfish.
What derailed idle threat?
No, wait. Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to say this. We have had in-band debates about the best cereal. That's been a hot take, hot topic in our band.
When we toured together, Zeke came up to me out of nowhere and said, "Okay, what's your favorite cereal?" I was like, but so intensely serious.
Yeah.
And support big breakfast? Not me. Not this guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I ate one time. I way overate on like a whole box of Cheez-Its by myself and got really sick. So I just, it's not that I don't like them. I'm not necessarily above them. Sorry, Nick. I honestly like the little cheddar Pringles. I get those a lot.
Okay.
Pringles are Pringles. Sometimes I sleep on Pringles. They're very
Pringles
good.
are underrated.
How
I
do
always
you feel about which brand is it that has the cheddar and sour cream variety?
Pringles has one of those too.
Pringles has one of those.
Okay.
I always have this like sneaking suspicion that I'm getting less with the can of Pringles, because it's like they're all just stacked up, and it's kind of
there's like this much room.
Yeah, like there's less, right? There's less.
A can of Pringles is always like full though, whereas a bag of chips is always half empty.
Oh yeah, they've got the packed by volume, not by weight,
yes,
or other way around, whatever.
Yeah,
you know what you're going to
disclaimer on there.
So I like
that's very true.
Candy, man, I'm not a huge sweets person in general, but I feel like I do like sour gummy worms.
Yep.
So I'd probably go that. I'd probably go sour gummy worms.
Those are solid choices.
Solid
choices, guys. Too. Well, so I guess before we jump off here, is there anything you want to tell people about the new album, and how should they stay ready for it? How ready do they need to make their body? How many jumping jacks a day do they need to do to be ready and supple for when?
How many vocal warm-ups?
I'm just trying to
do in their car.
trying to get the word supple into this podcast as many times as possible. But yeah, anything to pass on to the fans or about the new album that we didn't cover?
Yeah, I think every band thinks that their next project is their best, but I have always felt like we've taken a step forward with every record, and this one I feel really good about.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So expect it, next year, full rollout. But yeah, it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be peak male body, and you just have to be perfectly chill in
Peak
order
performance.
In order to get in order to really receive it into your soul, you
True.
need to be. All right, yeah. Send me a body fat percentage that I need to get down to before I
That's
listen
right.
to it for the first time, so I can make sure I'm totally
Yeah.
ready. But thank you guys so much for
We
coming on
will
here, and
we will have all of their socials, by the way, and links to, we'll touch base with you guys after, and links to everything below when we post it on our social media. So like for those of you listening, head to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to click through to all their pages and pre-saves and all that when they're available. And then on our social media, we'll link it to. Do you guys have? It's pretty much just Idle Threat on everything, or is it
I don't know, Nashville.
Nash or
Idle
Nashville.
Threat
I think it's
Nashville?
Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well,
cool.
yeah, we'll have that all linked there. We miss you guys.
Miss
Yeah,
you guys a
thank you
ton.
guys, man. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Fun to hang out and see you guys again.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it soon.
Yeah.
All
Love you,
right.
boys.
Love you guys.
Falling undisputed for the world to